A lot of you are not happy with how Rampage turned out. There are tons of videos out there about how Brendan Faircloth and Bienvenido Aguado got robbed. We have people like Darren Bearclaw and Cam McCall coming out and making videos about how Rampage is judged and how riders are chosen. There's been a ton of debate out about Red Bull Rampage. What is it? What's the future of it? And what needs to change. I wanted to make this video today to kind of clarify some things because I think a lot of people are confused on how Rampage is judged. I think a lot of people are confused about what makes a winning run. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I want to go over what the 4 criteria are and what they mean. I want to talk about the difference between degree of difficulty and danger. So on that note, what are the 4 criteria? Next, I want to talk about the 4 criteria that the judges are judging the contestants on. That being difficulty of line, air and amplitude, control and fluidity, and tricks and style. If I had to sum up in one sentence what Rampage is, it would be who hits the most difficult line with the biggest amplitude and made it look easy. Difficulty of line. Did you choose an easy line down the mountain? This Rampage shows this almost better than any other Rampage we've ever seen. Bienvenido had the most insane front flip over the canyon gap, and he was rewarded with it with the Kelly McGarry Spirit Award, People's Choice Award, and the other award he got, which I can't think of right now. He was awarded with those for sending the canyon gap. But the top half of his line was significantly easier than everyone else's. Bienvenido made his line more difficult because of tricks, but the line itself he chose was not as difficult as the other competitors that day. Next up, air and amplitude. Was your line choice big? Was the line you chose have lots of amplitude? This is why I think people don't understand why Cam Zink's run was scored so high. He did have the flip off the icon center, but that's not why he won. It was a big part of it, but that's not why he won. He won because A, his line was difficult. That spine at the top is insane. It's not even a ridge line, it's like a spine. After the spine, he has the drop that Kyle Straight broke his back on into the Evel Knievel jump. It is a big amplitude gap into the icon center. Those are 3 high amplitude features. And so even if with Bienvenido and Cam Zink, if you cancel out the front flip and the back flip, Cam Zink has 2 other features that are high amplitude. Bienvenido's flip into the run into the canyon gap was not high amplitude. It was technical, it was difficult, but it was not high amplitude. Next, control and fluidity. This is where Carson Storch and Tom Van Steengorden, I think, won a lot of their points. Not only did they have an extremely difficult run, but they made it look easy. And this is where I think if you're just watching it, you're kind of like, oh, okay, they're just kind of down. And then you're like, what the heck? Why did they get such a score? Their line is ridiculous. They went down the steepest part of the mountain into high consequence berms. They're hitting drops into berms. To be that composed and to be riding that fluid where you're not off kilter and you can hit those berms with the proper speed to continue doing your run, they rode their line so smoothly that they made it look easy, and that will always score well when you have a difficult line and you ride it easily. Next, tricks and style. Notice, tricks and style is the 4th category people are judged on. And I know I've said this before, I don't think they're scored evenly. It's not like 25 points to this, 25 points to that, 25 points to control and fluidity, and 25 points to tricks and style. Tricks and style is a way of boosting your score by showing how comfortable you are on the line you chose. But, and think about this, I really want you to think about this. If your line was easy, you don't have to show a lot of comfortability on doing tricks on certain features. This is why trick jumps at the bottom of the mountain will never be scored as high as doing tricks at the top. This is something that I thought hurt Brendan Faircloth's run. Two of his 3 tricks, he did a suicide no-hander, he did a backflip, a step down, and a backflip on a trick jump. 2 of his tricks were not score boosting tricks. They definitely helped. I'm not saying they're they are not catalysts to, instantly, okay, we gotta give him another 5-10 points. The flip at the bottom was on a trick jump. Trick jumps will never be scored as well. When he tricked his canyon gap, he did the easiest trick he possibly could have on that canyon gap. Now, does it still score well because he tricked it? He did something, 100%. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But it is not going to score as well as if he flipped it. And in another interview, Darren Bearclaw said that if he had flipped it, he most likely would have made it into top 3 or even scratched into first place. Okay, next I want to talk over the difference between degree of difficulty and danger. I think this is one of the most confusing things about Rampage. As writers, it makes sense to them, but I think the general public does not understand what this means. And I think the perfect way of discussing this is when we talk about the Battleship and how it should be scored. Degree of difficulty is how difficult is it to pull it off? How likely are you to pull it off? Next, danger. Danger is, if it goes wrong, how bad can it go? If it goes wrong, what's gonna happen, right? Like, how bad is it? Whereas degree of difficulty is how likely is it to go wrong? So when we talk about the Battleship is something that is extremely dangerous, meaning if you mess up on the Battleship, if you go off the side, it's not gonna be good news for you. You're going to fall very, very far and die, go to the hospital, who knows. However, how likely is that to happen? And we had multiple people before the event. Chemical said it. Some of the other judges have said it. They said that this was one of the more difficult features to score because if it was in a parking lot or at a bike park and was like 5 feet off the ground, it wouldn't be that difficult. It would not nearly be viewed as big of a deal as it is. Even if it was on like pallets and you had to stay in that like 3 foot little area, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But the reason why not a lot of people want to do it is because of that danger factor. So here's a little quadrant. We're gonna put the Battleship in the dangerous but not difficult. Now, this is all subjective because it's Rampage. So of course, like all the stuff we're gonna talk about would be insane for normal people. I think that should be a given before y'all go into the comments saying, you could never ride the Battleship. Yeah, whatever. I know that. Calm down. We're talking about the Rampage riders. So what's an example of something that is not dangerous and not difficult? That would be a trick jump at the bottom. Many people have trick jumps of this size in their own backyards. It's very normal for people who train for Rampage to be hitting jumps this big and doing tricks. If you don't believe me, go watch Dark Fest highlights, go watch the Kamzig Invitational highlights, you'll get the picture. What is an example of something that is difficult but not very dangerous? A great example of this is Emil Johansson's tail whips coming halfway at the bottom of his run, where he did an oppo tail whip to a regular tail whip off those drops. That is incredibly difficult to do. He definitely got rewarded for doing that. However, the drops he did it on were not that dangerous. If he crashes on that first one, maybe he careens off the edge, but it's actually quite a big area up there. And especially the second tail whip. I mean, he's on the service road where they drive the ambulance razors back and forth. So not super dangerous, but definitely difficult. The icon center is a perfect example though of something that is both dangerous and difficult, especially when he flipped it. The drop is blind. It's a big drop, one of the bigger ones on at the Rampage site, and you have an incredibly difficult run into it. You have, again, the drop into the Evel Knievel jump into the icon center. If you mess up any one of those things, you're going to the hospital. That's all of it from me. Please subscribe if you like this video, if this was helpful at all. Give me your comments down in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.